Shot girl no play. Entertainment, Mr. Shakamanda. Gunshot I kick them like Kung Fu Panda. Drop it!
Welcome. I am your host, Shakamanda, also known as Shaki on the Play. Representing for Surrounded by Music, Bongo Nutty Records, and also Shaki on the Play Entertainment. Today, I want you to go hit that subscribe button, like and share the content as much as possible. And for all the ones that are new here, thank you so much for subscribing to our channel. We are very, very pleased to have you here. So today, I want to talk about an issue that has been an issue since the 70s that no one really talks about because they just don't really talk about it. But I figure I need to speak about it because, you know, being in the music industry, we need to be educated on everything that we need to know as far as, you know, when it comes down to music and entertainment. So today I'm talking about copyright in Jamaican music, okay? And copyright infringement is a big problem, period, all across the whole world and the whole globe in the universe, right? So, but however, even more cases in Jamaican reggae music, it has been. It's a recent general development in popular music that has shifted to digitalization and the internet, which to a large degree augmented the copyright problem. The ready availability of songs in MP3 format through internet can in that sense be both as a blessing and a curse. The Jamaican music scene has always been mainly audience driven due to its strong popular base. The sound systems and dance halls or performances were since the 60s, even before the 60s, okay? So it's always been important, and you know, as far as with the performances, and it's an important avenue for Jamaican upcoming artists to let their songs and voice be heard among the local audiences, often in direct interaction with it, which this could make or break their popularity, maybe enhance their fame as well, increasing record, studio, or their popularity and paid performance opportunities, and a later step boost sales of their records, discs, or even abroad. In wealthier countries, reggae fans are willing to buy or pay for Jamaican's music. All right? So we haven't gotten there yet, but I'm gonna get to the point here. So reggae's internationalism, since the popularity of Bob Marley, especially enhanced this market beyond Caribbean migrant circles as initially. Music was, and for Jamaican artists, the way out of the ghetto. You know, you come from a hard place, so, you know, you have all the young youths all around the place, and they're just trying to, you know, get out of poverty, right? So they have a very, very strong talent. There is so much talent in Jamaica. And it's also, you know, just also searching for means of income. Some young artists, Jamaican artists, would search for a way for income, so they would, you know, go towards music, right? And they always has been a strong and creative music folklore, like it's been with the various African retentions combined with the need to escape poverty. Eventually, that made the music industry for Jamaicans relatively large for a small island of 2 to 3 million people, you know, inhabiting the land. And for becoming a poor in the most beautiful country I've ever seen. So beautiful. The palm trees and the water and just the sun every day. But there's another side to it, you know, poverty. So a lot of the artists back in those days, however, the copyright and legal protection, especially the composers. Okay, so in that developed music industry from the vinyl days to present, digitally available, say between 1960 to the present, however, the copyright and legal protection, especially composers, rights have remained in Jamaica to differing degrees problematic. Right? A complex of inequality and poverty problems comes here to the fore. Reggae experts, historians have based testimonies by artists themselves and pointed out how local Jamaican producers who generally owned studios and had other means tended to rip off artists, the Jamaican artists. Artists would get some pay out of the studio work, just very little pay. In some cases, even just food or, they would give them a little change, or feed them or give them a little gift or something just for them to perform a song. And I think those are Moneysharks. Those are Moneysharks that they're interested in the artists, in their music, to be thieves and to go ahead and steal from a very talented Caribbean Jamaican artists. You understand? So these are some bad mind, wicked people that look, because they see, they see the talent there, and they know that, some of them just want to come out of poverty, or just need to feed their family, or, need to, pay off a bill or pay something, and then they take a little bit of lumps, a little bit of change, and give it to them, and then they have all rights to their songs and all rights to their publishing. So then when the song does hit, that artist originally isn't getting paid for it because they've already taken a couple $100s for the bait and signed over all of their rights and their composing rights and the copyrights, everything belongs to the person who was producing the music for that artist to sing. And because you didn't sign the paper and you look at the bottom line and see that it was all going to the royalties, then that artist ends up in the same position that they ended up from the beginning, while the rich are eating and the poor are getting poorer. You understand? So it's very important for a lot of, not just artists in Jamaica, but all across the land that come from different cultures and different places that migrate, to not let some of these so-called producers who believe in you have them sign your rights over, because once you sign your rights over, you don't own anything. You always own everything every time you step inside of a studio and you go and you perform, or if you go out to a show, you make sure you get your money up front, every single dime, because if it was an American artist, rap artist, hip hop or pop or rock and roll, they would get paid top dollar. And that's the same thing that should go for international artists. But it doesn't go that way because they're so greedy and they're so wicked and bad mind. So that's how it's always been from time out and time again and time to now. You understand? So just understand, they're called rip-offs. Rip-off artists, you know what I'm saying? They rip off artists where they would just get you to pay, get you to do some studio work to pay you and give you food and maybe marijuana or clothing, or give you little gifts and things like that, and take you places, anything you need to go. But then when it comes to the end of the day, you sign off all your rights and your whole life over to them. So make sure you up front, you watch out for these Moneysharks. Okay? Yeah, so, I just wanted to speak about this because this is very important, because sometimes producers or studio owners keep the legal rights or songs by the artist who is said to only be paid once after the recording, and thus ensured for themselves capriciously had so much income that's coming to them, but they're giving them chump change. You understand? In many cases, the producer's not even insured royalties or legal rights for the artist that much, but just generated income from a disc sales or a dance song that was played. But they all end up with more money than the creative artists themselves. In British law, furthermore, the one financing the creative and the creative one obtain the legal rights. Okay? A studio owner who might not have contributed anything to the creation of the song or music, rhythm, instrumentally. In many cases, a lack of a larger organized legal protection in Jamaica caused that almost nobody within Jamaica really profited from sufficiently from songs, even if they got popular outside of Jamaica. Which it's another word which we're going to call it piracy, illegal copying, and international distribution without compensation or knowledge of artists, okay, were of course also rampant well before digitalization. So some Jamaicans and foreigners profited from this, not the artists. You understand? With older folk songs, this problem is well known outside of Jamaica. Deo, the Banana Boat song, has been Mento's classic in Jamaica. And from early times shared within Jamaican oral and musical culture. Long before Harry Belafonte got a big hit with it in 1956, its individual author is with many older folk songs, historically hard to pinpoint. That was, however, another time and other conditions. The music industry is just such, excuse me, music industry as such was not yet developed at the time. Then we have Studio One. In later stage, the semblance of a modern day industry developed in Jamaica, mainly since the ska and the era began around the 1960s, and when Coxsone Dodd opened the state Studio One in 1963. It was the first black-owned recording studio in Jamaica, and therefore had a stronger connection with the Jamaican people, especially with the poor people in downtown areas. It was for them more accessible. Indeed, Studio One was provided a way for aspiring artists to record songs through auditions. Unfortunately, Coxsone Dodd wasn't someone who ensured rights in writing. While many artists were partly unaware of such need, they just went with a creative flow and tried to reach public and get exposure in some way, with making money in the music industry. So it was everything that's happened over time with the music industry has always been corruption. You understand? So that's what I wanted to talk about, is the corruption in the music industry, especially in Jamaica. There's so much talent in Jamaica, and there should be way more money spent on the young youths and also the artists from way back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. They weren't getting paid the money that they were supposed to be getting paid. They were taking chump change and they were losing all their rights. That's why they weren't becoming as rich and flourishing like the rest of the Europeans or the people who were part of the production. You understand? So the moral of the story is always make sure you read everything in a contract. You never sign away your rights when it comes down to your music if you wrote it. You understand? Because later down the line, if that song is a hit, you get not $1, not 1 cent, while someone else is eating and living the glamorous life while you're suffering and living in poverty. You understand? Whether they're black or white, whether you are having a hard time, you make sure you put your foot down and you get every dime that you're supposed to get from the beginning, because these people don't care. The sharks, and they look for the poor people to attack, to take over take over everything and just leave them still in the same position, or if not worse, really. So all I know is that to the present problems remaining regarding Jamaicans' music legal rights, some things they have improved a little bit, but not so much. But the studio owners in Jamaica, some of them come from the ghetto areas, and it increased like in the 70s, but it's still, it was a separation. You have uptown people that gave poor artists a chance to audition or record or offer the job to function in the studios. And several artists disappointed from dealings with the dependence on producers and getting little reward open their own labels and studios, such as the Wailers, Lee Scratch Perry, let's see, Black Art Studios, the Abyssinians, and Augustus Pablo, and later Gregory Isaacs. So, you know, with Errol Dunkley, Bunny Wailer, and Burning Spear. This increased numbers of studios certainly did offer opportunities, and the Jamaican industry, of course, expanded from the 70s all the way, of course, through with Bob Marley, Jacob Miller, Black Uhuru, and Culture, Burning Spear, and so on and so forth. But the small island has always put itself on a global map. You understand? Introducing all different types of music to just come into your life, and it's always been a great success, and it's the greatest music in I think in the world. I think it's the greatest music because it's very spiritual, and you know there's a lot of spirituality that comes right from Jamaica, and you know comes right from the heart, and it's such a beautiful place. It's just that you know there's poor people, you know, just like poor people have to suffer while the rich stay richer and the poor are getting poorer. All right, more to the story. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. Like, share up the thing. Share it to your friends. Follow me on Instagram, The Real Shock Yellow Play. Follow Surrounded by Music. Big up Bongo Nati Records. All day, every day. Mystic Metamorphosis and Roots Rock and Jerk. Sponsored by. All right. Once again, this is Shakamanda. One love and job blessings.
Shot girl no play. Entertainment, Mr. Shakamanda. Gunshot I kick them like Kung Fu Panda. Drop it! It's Warren! Never mash up on Shakamanda, can't dead.